everybody. We are live
at
Stop Parenting Alone, sitting real close to one another. And we are going to be talking about Miss Gabby. Turn that down. So Gabby's in the background. She's going to help us today. We have two eyes on us. I don't know who you are yet. Hello.
Hello, Yessie.
So today I have a very, very, very old friend of mine.
And young, very old and young.
Yes. We used to go to South Miami Junior together and the Performing Arts High School. Gabby, you can now show our friends our pictures so that we can prove that we've known each other for a very, very long time. And
we look a lot better now.
much better.
Much better.
But tonight it's about, talking about different ways for parents to really, really see their children clearly. And those of you that know me know that I'm all about the brain and I'm all about science and I'm all about development. But I wanted to invite my very, very, very old friend, Miss Monique Catoggio, who is a local amazing coach and a good friend. And she is going to talk about something that's super duper interesting. And sometimes I'm like, but it is a wonderful way to see your children. And I wanted everybody to have an opportunity. So Monique, why don't you tell our audience a little bit more about yourself?
Okay. Thank you, Lee. Okay, so hi everyone, Monique Catoggio, and as Lina said, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer. I focus on leadership and well-being, where they come together. I focus on the whole person, right? How to lead your life in a beautiful, magical, healthy way, but also how to be a great leader, right, in your career. So in your career and in your life, but let's not leave out our home and our children. And it's such an important part of our lives, especially those of us who are parents. So I bring kind of all of that together, right? I work with organizations, but I also work with individuals who want to just lead better lives and support themselves, support their children. So with that in mind, one of the things that I have been trained on and I have been using for myself mostly as a tool for many years is a branch of Chinese medicine. It's called Chinese face reading, right? So don't freak out on me yet, okay? Because I learned from the foremost expert out there, and she has taken all of the foo-foo, woo-woo stuff out of it, right? So we're looking at the science behind face reading, okay? And when it's combined with feng shui astrology, I am a feng shui practitioner as well. So I live in the elements, the world of elements, right? In nature. When we bring these two sciences together, what we really get is an incredible picture of who we were meant to be, who we are, what's our nature, what's our essence, right? And everything on our face means something, okay? It can talk about timing, right? So the years of our lives are represented on our face, our different organs, right? So health-wise, how are we doing health-wise? And most importantly, which I think we're going to talk about today, is emotions, right? Our personality, those character traits that we begin to notice in ourselves and in our children. And what are our hot buttons? The good ones and the bad ones. So Chinese face reading, let me just say that it's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And when I say Chinese medicine, doctors started seeing patterns in people's faces, right? So when people went to the doctor and to therapy, over the years, they noticed that people with certain features on their face had specific traits. Or on certain areas of the face, we can tell that someone was sick somewhere within their body. Okay, so this is how Chinese face reading started. And it really is a tremendous tool. And I'll share with you a little bit how I got into it and why I find it to be a critical tool for parents.
So for everybody that's watching, and I see that there's a bunch of you, so hi to Adriana and Dorales. Thank you for joining us. And remember, if you have questions, you can add the questions. And if we miss them, Gabby, who's helping us out here, will throw us and remind us that there's a really good question. So why I thought that it was important, besides the fact that she's my very best friend in the whole wide world, to come and talk to this, is like a lot of parents sometimes, you guys kind of get stuck in an expectation or a thought, or, you know, I have to be the perfect mother, or my child has to have straight A's, or, you know, something, a behavior that the child is doing is confusing. So it's important that we find different tools and to see our children. So I thought it would be fun to do Chinese face reading as another way to see your children, as well as the information that I'm going to give, because I'm always going to give you the information that is from attachment theory point of view and from an interpersonal neurobiology point of view. But I think that the more tools we have and the more tools we access, it gets us out of expectations. And I would say that the number one thing that will help you see your child a little more clear is to be mindful of the expectations that you have of your children, and to notice when you put it through a lens or through a framework, whether it's Chinese face reading or development or their personality, like, then question yourself if you're truly seeing what's in front of you, or you are just seeing an expectation or looking for an expectation that you want for your children. So Monique, tell us, why and how do you end up
doing this?
Looking at faces to get information?
Right. Well, you know, I'm a mom. That's my number one role, the most important role in my life. And I have two children. My son Jacob, who is now a freshman in college, just shipped him off to Tennessee, and he's doing great. And our daughter, who is going to be 13 tomorrow. So now I have another teenager in the house. And when Jacob, our son, was in pre-K, I remember that his teacher, who I loved his teacher. She was kind and gentle and loving. You know, at the middle of the year, came to us and said, I want to talk to you about Jake. And I said, sure, what's going on? And long story short, she basically said, I have a feeling that he may be ADHD and that he may need some occupational therapy, because we're having a tough time getting him to focus. We're having a tough time getting him to listen. He's being very reactive, et cetera, et cetera. Now, for the parents who are on here, and I know some of you know this and have felt this before, the minute somebody tells you there's something wrong with your child, it's almost like the world is falling down. You can't even listen. You know, everything goes blank. It's just like wah, 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 wah. You don't know what they're saying, right? I tried my best to be very open-minded because I really liked his teacher, but I knew my child, right? So I was like, my child is loving, my child is caring, my child, you know, I had all these definitions for my child, and it was very difficult at first to wrap my hands around this, right? But I did what most parents do, and I said, all right, let me look into this, right? So we had testing done, we went to an occupational therapist, we did all of that. And lo and behold, yes, Jacob was ADHD, right? Or still is. That really never goes away. It just transforms as they get older. And we started getting him the therapy that he needed. But this is what made the switch for me, is that the teacher he was going to be with the following year in that school already put him in a box, right? And started judging him, started treating him very differently. And I felt, I don't want to use the word hate, but I felt the resistance that she had against my son and how differently she treated him in the classroom with the other kids. And I said, I cannot do this to my son. He may have hyperactivity. He may need some behavioral therapy, but he needs to be loved and understood for who he is, right? So long story short, again, I found myself at a conference. I go to a lot of conferences. My number one strength is a learner. I'm always learning. And there was a speaker at this conference who was going to teach us how we can learn about our children through their faces. I was like, okay, why not? What? All right. So I sat in this workshop, and she started just showing images and facial features, and just, I saw my children is all I could say. I saw my child. Back then I only had Jacob, but I was crying when I was sitting through this workshop because I understood my child, right? It was not about labels. It was like, I saw him, I knew him. And at that moment I said, there is no way that I am going to allow my son to be in a place, in a school, or around people that are going to label him and treat him differently. So it's up to me as mom to do the research and to find the right teachers, the right school, the right program that is going to support him and nurture him and take him along this path in a way that I think is going to support him, right?
Let me stop her right there.
Yes.
Because Monique just said something incredibly important. Let me find a place that's going to see him, that's going to match his needs, and that's going to, you said something
support him and nurture him.
Support him and nurture him, right? So sometimes for you guys out there, when you find yourself in this scenario, and again, we're talking about seeing your child clearly, right? Yes, her child was having a moment, right? And a lot of the times we try to fit our children into a square when they're a circle. So again, you know, yes, this is the story of how Monique found herself to Chinese face reading, but it's also really important for everybody that's watching right now that, you know, just because it's the best school in Miami, it doesn't mean that it might be the right school for your child. And that's very, very important. And that's something, hi, Gail. Gail knew us back in high school. So it's important for everyone to listen to this clearly, that it is important for us to begin to see our children for the individuals that came into this world. And, you know, this is a source. And
I want to say something really important, that Chinese face reading is a moment in time, right? Because our faces change. Our noses don't even grow fully until our 20s, right? So when we do face reading, we look at the person in the moment and look at, you know, what life is telling us about them and where they are right now. It's not about judging. It's not about black and white, okay? And so it's very important that we keep an open mind, and we're bringing so many elements together to get a picture of who this person is from many different facets, right? One of the things that helped me most about face reading is that now I can look at the teachers, my kids' teachers, and understand what my children may be facing, right? The different personality types. And I want to talk about elements really quickly, if it's okay, because this is all based in the 5 elements, which is why it's part of Chinese medicine, right? So I call it acupuncture for the soul.
Oh, okay? That's a good one.
Yeah, we're not doing it for our body, but our faces really reveal our soul, and how we operate in the world, and what nurtures us and what we resist. Okay, so it's really powerful information. So if we can put up the image of the 5 elements, I'll talk to you a little bit about that so you can get a perspective of face reading through the elements, which is really what it's about. So as you know, there's 5 elements in nature, right? There's water, there's wood, there's fire, there's earth, and there's metal, okay? And we come from nature, right? No matter how you look at it, we come from somewhere. And we can look to nature to see the patterns of life, the rhythms of life, you know, how things operate. It works the same with us. We have a little bit of each element in our makeup, but we have, all of us have certain elements that are very dominant in us. Okay, and that's what we want to focus on. That's what looking at the face reveals. That's when we match it with our feng shui astrology, we get a really nice picture of what our elements are. And we can begin to understand why we operate in a certain way, why we may not get along or feel you know, resistance from people or not want to be with certain people. There's a reason why, okay? Because if we look at the elements, and I don't know if it's posted, but essentially, and I'm going to show you here as well, because it's going to help me kind of, okay, sorry, I don't want to cover you. I'm going to cover myself. No, because then I can't see. Okay, guys, so really quickly, I just want to show you here that the cycle of elements, you know, we nurture, right? Water nurtures wood, wood nurtures fire, fire nurtures earth, and so on, okay? But then there's also a cycle that contracts, that destroys, right? Destroy is kind of a strong word. We really don't destroy each other, but that's what our emotions feel, right? So my example of Jacob, who has a lot of fire energy as a child, especially, right? Now he has a lot of fire and a lot of wood energy as he has developed into adulthood. But his teacher, the one that I was telling you about, that was kind of rubbing, with him. Metal, fire burns metal. Am I right? Okay, so that's just one example. She felt that Jacob was burning her. Okay, so she was responding to that emotionally. So these two just were not getting along. They weren't a good match for each other when you think of child teacher, right? Or even parent child. Sometimes we don't support each other, right? We rub each other or push each other's buttons. And wouldn't it be awesome as a parent to find out that that's one of the reasons why we may not get along so well with one of our children, or we really get along with another one of our children. And once we have this information, we could stop being so hard on ourselves to find all the answers and really just start understanding how we need to speak to them, how we need to operate around them, and just manage the situation.
Now here's what I love about Eastern sciences and Eastern medicine, that I can take this same, where's your little diagram?
Yeah.
So I could take this same little diagram and then talk about my way of looking at the same diagram. Let me move it, right? Which is temperament. Now, what is temperament? Temperament is how we are born into this world. Maternity unit nurses are the best at labeling your child's temperament. They will hand the baby over to somebody and go, "Oh, you're so feisty," which in Eastern religions, Eastern science, they would say fire, right? And in my world of child development, it would be a high reactive temperament. High reactive children, that would be, I guess in here, I would say it would be fire
and metal,
right? They're often vigilant.
Yeah.
They can't stay calm.
Right.
They have strong reactions, whether physical reactions or mood, because you can have a low reactive mood, but a high reactive physical, right? Because so know that back in the times where Eastern science was being used primarily, but very, very long time ago,
right,
they didn't have MRI machines the way that we do now.
Right.
And something that you just said, the fire does not match the metal. Well, what we call that in temperament is a bad fit.
Yes.
And sometimes parents with a child have a good or a bad fit.
Right.
I have a bad fit with my daughter. My daughter is a Buddha child. Most people would call her shy, but actually she falls in the high reactive realm of the temperament world. She's quiet. She's vigilant.
Yes.
She has strong reactions to physical stimuli, not emotional, right? And what ended up happening for me was that I am like, whoa, but I'm actually, although I'm very big, my temperament is low reactive.
Right.
Because a low reactive person is very vocal, they're very relaxed, they're flexible. It's the high reactive group. In other realms, in the corporate realm, is the introspective,
introvert
and extrovert. I saw that Gabby put up a blog that I wrote about me and my daughter. And here's the thing about what I had to do when my daughter was 2. And she went to go touch something, my big, low reactive temperament personality was like, no. And then she would just fall into a ball of tears.
Yeah.
And see, I didn't have a good fit with her. I didn't have a good fit with her.
Did we lose connection?
Maybe. Okay, we're back. Okay, so I didn't have a good fit with her because my way of reacting, I don't know, in this little...
Girl, you got a lot of wood energy.
I'm all wood. So
not all.
Some. So I needed to just go, wait. Shh. No.
Right.
Quiet.
Instead of stop.
Right.
Do this.
Quiet.
Yes.
Right. So again, the Eastern sciences, why I like them is because they always match up to what we know today.
And there's so much wisdom.
And we're all saying the same thing.
Right.
And so again, another way to see your child clearly is to wonder, what is their temperament and does it match mine? And we are not supposed to make our children like us.
Mm-mm.
And I think that, again, this is backed up, or, this is chicken or egg things, right?
Correct.
What came first?
Right.
Temperament or this?
What I find is that a lot of different techniques, even different forms of astrology, right? Because I use the 9-star key, which is feng shui astrology, which is equally as important as the face reading. You bring both together. But what's beautiful is when Western astrology tells you the same thing that Eastern astrology does, right? So whether it's what I'm saying and how I prefer to do it, and the way you do it here at Stop Parenting Alone, if the information kind of matches, then you're getting what you need to help your children, and you're getting what you need to help yourself, so you don't drive yourself crazy. One example that I love to share is that before I understood this, I didn't want my child to sleep with his door open. I didn't want the light on. I was wondering, why does he need so many things to happen in order to feel comfortable to go to bed, right? But he needed the door open, not like this and not like that, but it had to be like that, right? And a certain light, and the covers had to be in a certain way. And he had a lot of sensitivity on his hands, right? So I don't know what you call it. Maybe he was a little OCD when he was young, right? But everything...
It's sensory. It's tactile perception.
Tactile perception. Thank you. So as a parent, not being guided, you kind of... And I have a lot of wood energy myself. So I just wanted things to happen in a certain way. But what I didn't realize is that was really damaging him from the inside out, and not making it comfortable for him to feel safe in his own space, in his own room. So this really opened my eyes. And when I saw that he had so much sensitivity, high reactive, oh boy, I dialed it back, and everything changed. Everything changed for both of us. So it's really a beautiful science.
It is. So everybody that's out there, just like a little refresher on the comments, there's a little quiz that you can take so that you can see the temperament traits of your children, and besides what we've put up for Monique, there's a link before, but we'll post it again so you can go there and kind of get the face, a little cheat sheet, right, on the face.
So why don't we share this now?
Right. Yes. So everybody, if you want more information, and we'll say it now, but we'll say it again later, make sure to grab your phone and text the word reframe to 66866, and you're going to get a lot of information. And in particular, you're going to get
a little cheat sheet,
on seeing, on the face. But what's most important for everybody that's listening to us tonight is that good fit between a parent and a child is not guaranteed, right? So because everybody, again, like I was saying, is born, the foundation of a human being is their temperament,
right?
So what we're talking about with the face, right? The scaffolding is parenting. The walls, the windows, the roof, the furniture, that's friends, teachers, experiences, culture, gender. That's how you make up the house of a child. So I see a question. Let's see. Is there a way to access this video after it's done? Yes, Christine. You can watch it from the beginning and also rewatch it whenever. Yes, you can watch it as many times as you want.
Hi, Alex. I think I saw Ellie and Odie earlier. So
hi, everybody.
Hi, Tyrone.
Tyrone. So Christine, yes, this will be up on the page and you can watch it later. But everybody, I think what we're both saying, and with your story of Jacob and my story of Camila, it's that sometimes we have to slow down enough so that we notice the child in front of us rather than what we think they should be, or harder, what our extended family tells us that our children need to be, or for you, what the teacher is telling you that your child should be.
Right.
Always take on that information. Hello, Miss Christina. Take on that information but then wonder and then put it through these things. So I like that we're talking about this, and I like that, you know, everybody, temperament is really, really important. So some children are high reactive, and some children are low reactive.
Yeah.
But again, if you text, you'll get more information during the week.
Yeah.
So what else do you want to tell us about facial features?
Okay,
I know that you were going to give us a little, you know, top 5.
Yeah, so I'm going to share with you a little bit now, but what I am going to do is send you, again, once you use the text and text refrain to 66866, you're not going to get it immediately, but I promise you that you will get it in the next few days. We're going to send you the 5 easiest ways to see your child clearly through face reading. And it's a cheat sheet. It's going to be 1 page, super simple. I want to keep it simple for you, okay? Because it is very complex, and we do bring a lot of information together to kind of paint the picture of the archetype of your child, right? And your archetype as well, so you can begin to see the differences and understand how to nurture yourself, how to nurture your child, and to understand, you know, how to work the elements. So it's a really fun way to do it. So let's start with the forehead, okay? So our foreheads. Is mine bigger than yours? A little bit? Okay, so the forehead reveals a lot of information, okay? It's also the area of our 20s, okay? So every, yeah, so if you have a lot of wrinkles, particularly long lines across your forehead, that means that you learned a lot of lessons. And who doesn't learn lessons in their 20s?
Look how long mine are. Look, I have so many.
Me too. There we go. Okay, what I'm showing you here are my frustration lines.
I don't have them.
Yeah, yes you do.
Where?
Not
Right
as
here.
clearly as mine. Yeah, right there.
I have lessons.
A lot of lessons.
I have 20-year-old lessons.
I know some of her lessons. So
you don't get to ask her about my past. No.
Okay, so the forehead. The forehead really can tell us whether we have a super creative child, someone who's going to be an innovator, someone who really needs to create and to invent and to dream, right? And sometimes we want to squash those dreams and we want to say, do math instead. Okay, but let me tell you that I'll be very clear with you that if I tell you you have a creative child, you have an innovative child, you have to nurture that because that's part of their life purpose. And that's what face reading tells us, right?
Oh, but wait, quick tip. If you have an innovative, creative child and they're fighting you with the math, you have to be innovative and fun in the way that you teach them the math.
Yes.
Right?
Yay. It's all about solutions.
So that's why it's,
and my daughter, that's how we have to do it with math because she is a creator, an innovator. She's nonstop, right? The forehead also tells us how we process information. Do I need to stop and think about things before I respond? Do I like to research? Do I like to dive deep into information? Do I like philosophy, right? Do I go deep or am I quick? Am I a quick thinker, a quick actor, right? Our forehead can share some of that information with us. It could also show us if we're compulsive, okay? If we're compulsive, if we have tendencies to be spiritual or to need spirituality in our life, our forehead tells us so many things, okay? Are we a good negotiator? I don't know if I said that already. So interestingly enough, one of the things that changed in Jacob's, my son's face over time was his forehead. And now he's got this beautiful negotiator forehead, you know, very logical, you know, so I'm like, he's going to be a good businessman, you know?
We have a good question. So
Yes.
Stacy. Okay, Stacy, hi, Stacy. I'm so happy you're on.
What kind of forehead?
She left us.
Are you
what type of forehead are you describing?
I'm typing many different types, right? So I'm just sharing with you what the forehead can show you. But for someone, if you're thinking about creative and innovative, a very high rounded forehead, okay?
Like mine?
Yeah, the higher, yes, and yours is slightly rounded up on top, right? So yes, you are creative and innovative, but when you put someone next to Lina, whose forehead is maybe this high and super round, then it's deeper, right? It's more creativity. It's a bigger emphasis on creativity, innovation, artistry, right? So so hopefully that helps to answer your question. Someone who's a negotiator is probably gonna have a forehead that slants backwards. It's not straight and it's not rounded, it slants backwards. Okay? So those are a couple tips for you. So that's the forehead. The eyebrows. Let me talk to you about the eyes and the eyebrows. very important for the ladies and also the gentlemen in the Facebook Live tonight. Don't pluck so much, please, please. Don't pluck. We want them nice and nicely manicured. But our eyebrows is a source of power, internal power for us, confidence, self-love, our ability to stand up for ourselves, right?
Wow.
Yes. So there was a moment in my life I can share, and I know a lot of people, I have a lot of clients who can share this as well, that when they got pluck happy, there was something missing. Their mojo was missing. They didn't feel like they could speak up for themselves during that moment in their lives. So it doesn't mean that you actually need the hair. You could actually fill it in with makeup, and it does the same effect. So hear me. This is all about energy. Our faces are energy. If we pierce our face, we're removing energy, okay? If we tattoo our face, we're adding on energy. Sometimes we don't want to add energy in the wrong places, but we do want to add some energy and some color in our eyebrows if they're too light or you don't see them, and maybe you happen to feel like you need a little more confidence, a little more juju, you want to stand up for yourself, you want to speak out, okay? Have that drive to get things done. Your eyebrows help you with that, okay?
So just because I got that, oh, Monique, you're getting too woo-woo for me.
Yes.
I had a moment there, but recently I was listening to Dan Siegel. So Dan Siegel, those of you that know me know that I'm his groupie. And he was talking about, all the new things that are happening. And, he started out as a doctor and he became a psychiatrist, and then he created interpersonal neurobiology. And now, of course, he's ended up in quantum physics, which is what is, up and coming. And, the more you read about quantum physics, the more woo-woo it sounds, because it's really hard to wrap your head around it. Like I get into it and I go into this vortex, but he said something very important, which you just said, which is we know that we share in this interpersonal space, we share energy, we share protons or neutrons. Okay. For the quantum physicists in the group, please tell me the correct word, but we share a form of energy, and it sticks.
It does stick.
So,
it does.
One more time, Eastern science has been telling us this. What's Reiki? Oh, little plug. We have Reiki here for moms, so come get some Reiki. What is it? It is the science of energy. It's the science of energy. Yeah. So, the quantum physicists are now proving what most Eastern practitioners would tell you. They would have a nada moment. Right. So again, and let's talk about energy in seeing your child clearly. A lot of the time, your child falls apart, and then you match them. And that doesn't get you anywhere, because when your child is high, you have to come low.
Okay, and I want to say something about that.
Yay!
Because high reactive, right? Mostly, yes, fire, but also metal. Mostly metal is very, very reactive, very, very sensitive. So what nurtures metal? Earth. When you think about earth, think about mother love. Think about that mama that just wants to, baby, it's going to be okay, right? So when we understand the elements and you see your child reacting in a certain way, and you pick up on what element is missing or what element they have too much of, you understand what element to provide them, okay? So, this takes a lot of practice. I've been practicing this for almost 12 years now. So I have a good handle on it, and I see elements. I see elements through people's emotions, through their voice, through their physical traits, through their, what they're doing with their faces, obviously. So it's easier for me to pick up on it. But again, with time and practice and just learning about it, the basics, you can get so much out of it. So let me talk about the eyes a little bit, okay? Because the eyes, again, it's the mirror to our soul, and it's really the mirror to our chi, to our energy. Good energy bad energy, right? And when I say bad, I don't mean bad or negative or evil, nothing like that. But are we lacking energy? Are we lacking chi? Or do we have a lot of it, right? So when you see someone with big open eyes, right, bright eyes, they've got a lot of chi. They've got a lot of good chi, okay? And typically when you see someone with big eyes, maybe even bulging eyes, what you know is that they're communicators. They like to share. They like to tell about themselves. They're open-minded and they want to connect, okay? Versus someone who has deep set eyes and maybe whose eyes are just a little bit closed. That's a good sign that they may not be as open with you, right? So if you're like this and pretend you have little small eyes and I go like, hey, Lina, what's up, girl? Tell me what happened last night. You're going to be like, I'm not ready to share. I'm not ready to share, right? So they need to warm up. They need to trust before they can share, right? So our eyes tell us about how we communicate, how open we are, how much information we can receive, how much information we can give. They can also tell us whether we're more optimistic or more pessimistic in our nature, which is kind of important to know if you have kids, right? And and for yourself too. Our eyes also tell us how deep we go, how deeply we feel things, right? So if you have really dark ojeras, we call them in Spanish, under eye circles. Okay, I go Cuban first sometimes. I can't help it. Okay, so like me, but I put a lot of makeup on today. Okay, but when I wake up, I got big old dark eyes. What you need to know about that is that I go deep. So when you say things to me maybe that are hurtful, they go deep and they go down, and then I have to work on getting it out, right? Because it's my responsibility to remove that. But just understand that we feel deeply. Okay, we feel deeply. So our eyes tell us a lot. And if you have these lines here, when you smile, that means you're happy. Those are joy lines. That just means you had a lot of joy, especially in your 30s.
I do. So one thing about, I had a session today. I had a parenting consult today, and that was the question of mom. She was worried that, her child was not communicating with her.
Yes.
And if I think about what you're saying right now, this particular, I love this mom, but yeah, she is very communicative.
Right.
And I know her little one, and her little one does have smaller eyes, which she's proving me wrong.
So
but
yes, sorry.
What she said what I said to her, and here's a trick. So let's say that now you're going to look at your baby and you're going to notice, hey, wow, their eyes are a little bit smaller, so I need to kind of slow down. They do have under, so I need to slow down. Well, that's when parents tell me my child's not talking to me. I want you to wonder, well, what about timing, right? A lot of you guys, you pick up your child and they get in the car and you're like, so what did you do today? Did you read? Did you da-da-da-da-da? Did you da-da-da? But your child is getting in the car just like when you get in the car when you leave work. Right? But then if now that Monica's told you this and you're going to look at your baby's little eyes, so maybe your little person needs to be tranquil and in bed.
You just said something.
And laying down.
Yes.
To talk to you about their day. So when you're worried that your child is not talking to you, which this particular mom today in the parenting consult was feeling that fear, think about the timing. When are you asking them about how they're feeling? Because all of us, like when I get out of here at night, I literally look at my husband and say, it's a 12-hour day, so today's not the day for me to talk.
Right. And I mentioned earlier, you have a lot of wood. You also have a lot of water, right? So deep under eye, dark under eye circles relate to the water element. Water needs to flow. Water needs to rest. Water needs to lay flat. Water needs to just dream a little dream, be quiet, read a book, chill out. So exactly what you said. Someone with very dark under eye circles, that's a clue that they have a lot of the water element in them. So they need a lot of that rest and quiet. And so that's a wonderful way to look at that. There are other areas of our face that also speak to how we communicate. Our cheeks are one of them, right? So if our cheeks are very flat,
Does that happen with age?
It does happen with age.
I used to have fluffy cheeks.
Yeah, which is why face readings are a moment in time, because our face does change and our temperament changes as we get older. Am I right?
Well, temperament with every experience that we have, because we can, like, you can be a tiny little person that's always observant and very careful.
Yeah.
But then through time and through experience, you learn to manage that for yourself.
Yes.
So that's, again, Eastern science
is
meets
matching
Western science, and it's true. Temperament shifts and changes based on the experience of the child.
So cheeks, if you got big cheeks and they're like bony cheeks, right? Big and bony and fleshy. Oh, you're a communicator too. You like to talk. We even call it bossy cheeks sometimes if they're really, really big. So if you see someone with really, really big cheeks and bony cheeks, just beware. It's not that they're going to be bossy, but they're going to say what's on their mind, like it or not. So, and also our mouth is another area. The larger our mouth, the bigger our lips. That's also another sign, and the mouth tells us a lot more, which I'll get to in a minute. But there's the face has so many different aspects to it that it's just a piece in the puzzle, right? So let's see who joined. Hello, Billy C. Hello.
Hi, Billy C.
And okay, awesome. So looking for questions, nothing yet. All right, so let me see where I can move on here and see what I haven't talked to you about that I would like to talk to you about. The nose. The nose is a sensitive one because, first of all, in face reading, when you've been doing this for a long time, you don't believe in face surgery. You don't believe in Botox, okay? Because let me tell you something about Botox. When you fill in these lines, you're filling in all of the lessons you learned.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm glad I hadn't done that.
That's
Look at how many I got. I got a lot of lessons.
So do we want to go back and relearn those lessons?
Oh, wait, you have to repeat them?
Sometimes.
That's scary.
Yeah. So, what was that? Oh my
Hi,
daughter.
Juliana. Juliana says, oh my daughter has the wide open eyes and I have the dark circles. This is enlightening. No wonder I can't keep up with it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you like this, Juliana.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the nose. Just like a lot of people want to fix their nose, right? Especially young, and a lot of parents sometimes want to fix their child's noses before they even fully develop, right? So just know that your child's nose, our noses, don't fully develop until we're like 26 years old, okay? The nose is another area of power. It's our power center, okay? So it's our leadership, our capacity to be leaders, especially in our 40s, okay? So 40s. What's up?
This is 40.
Yeah. So, hi, Jessie.
Hi.
So our nose also speaks to perfection, right? So you may know someone who has a very large nose, who likes things to be a certain way, right? And they like to be the leader, so they like to be in charge. Okay, so sometimes people with big noses, they have that. They're very stern. They could be very stern. They like things in a certain way. They also could be very sensitive. Okay, so, it's just a warning. If you see someone with a big nose, I would not just jump on them and give them a hug. I would kind of just see how it goes and understand that they like to be in charge. They like to suggest what needs to be done. They like to be heard. They like people to grab onto their vision and follow them. Okay, so we do see a lot of leaders with big noses, okay? But it's a power center for us. So it's a beautiful part of the face. The bigger, the better. Why not? But if we're aware of it, then we can tone down our perfectionism and understand that, we're probably going to take more time making things perfect than others would. Sometimes we want to do it too much and we need to relax that tendency, right? So there's the yin and yang that we see in Eastern medicine. We don't want too much of something or too little. We want to try and find the right balance so that we don't get people's hot buttons, right? And we don't push people's hot buttons too much. So our nose also can show us how much we love to enjoy life and the good things in life, family, friends, food, right? So if we have a very cushy nose, big and lots of skin and lots of yumminess, then we really like to enjoy the good things in life, and we like to spend time with our family and friends. Whereas if our nose is very bony, we're probably a little more sensitive. We like our own space a little bit more. Okay, so this tells us, again, boundaries. What are our boundaries? So that's an important, yes, a tiny little nose. That means that you act fast. And of course, you're my sister. I know that's right about you. It's like you get an idea and like, launch. So you're a fast mover, a fast thinker, a fast mover. Okay, so that's what a tiny little nose says about us, right? So big nose, you take your time, you think things through, you want things to be perfect. Little nose, go for it. Take the risk, do it.
And again, let's go back to this idea. We're having fun thinking about our own faces as well as our children's faces. But I want to bring it back to this idea that everything that Monique is saying about all the different features in the face really truly matches what we talk about when we talk about the temperament of a child. And this idea of a low reactive child, a child that kind of is copacetic and flexible, and which I think you were saying was like just a little more a smaller nose. Did I miss that? No. Yeah, they
yes,
are also.
They are more relaxed.
They are more relaxed.
Yeah.
But again, it's all these things that kind of match, high reactive people and low reactive people. And, a lot of the labels in the child development world are like so poorly labeled, because you would think that a low reactive person is the one that's shy or
right.
or introverted. But no, and this is why, because when you're high reactive, you feel everything in the space. And I would say that somebody with that very, very big nose that needs to be in charge, that needs to be in control. Some people that are high reactive become leaders because through the development, right?
Yes.
They realize I need to control my environment.
Absolutely. And they do.
So that I don't feel that high a cost. It's a cost. It's caustic for them. So that's really important. And then this idea of like when you said that, like your sister, and by the way, Monique's sister owns Light Up Learning. I love her. She's an educational therapist, and if you have a child with an issue in learning, she's your girl. So
she's
Jessica,
help you find
shout out, yes, shout out to Jessica Castillo and Light Up Learning. Gabby, please, Light Up Learning, put it in the comments. So I have to give, because she is one of my favorite educational therapists in the city, and that's her sister. Yeah. And she also went with us to middle school, which is really funny.
So let me say something super quick, because I want you to understand why we look at the astrology and also the face together. My children do not have big noses, but they are high reactive. And the astrology tells me so, right? So you need both. You need both sets of data to truly understand what's happening with us. With, I say our children, but really with us as well. Yeah. So we bring the two together, and they're equally important. So we talked about cheeks. You want to talk about the mouth a little bit?
It's my favorite part of my face.
Actually, before I talk about the mouth, I'm gonna tell you something really cool. So these lines here that we also like to fill, don't fill them. Don't, please. These are our purpose lines. Oh. The deeper they are, the more pronounced they are, the more you're on your track. You're on purpose, your life purpose. Okay? So oftentimes we even see it in our children. And I'm not saying it because he's my son, but my son Jacob has very deep lines already at the age of like 15. I started to see them. So of course, knowing this information as his mom, I was like, good, because you want your children to be on track, right? And we want to be on track. And we say that if, by the time you're 50, these are not developed, that's a sign that you may need to go within a little bit, do a little bit of inside out work to try and figure out where's that passion and purpose for you, so you could begin to light it up, find your light, so that you're living a meaningful and purposeful life. So the mouth. Oh, and there's Stop Parent Light Up Learning. Awesome. So I think there was a question before. I may have missed it.
Yeah, it was a question for me. How do I know? Wait. Hi. How do I know if you're, how do you know if your child is high or low reactive? Some clues. Okay. High reactive children generally get called shy. They're quiet. They're the ones that are always next to you. They're the ones that, if you take them to a social event, most of them just need 10 minutes to kind of adjust to the space, and then they'll join in, and then they're fine. And give them the 10 minutes. So high reactive children are quiet, they're vigilant, they have strong reactions with their mood or their physical, like their physical stimuli is like constant, like they're very shaky. And as they get older, if we don't help them, they can be very avoidant of a lot of things. A low reactive child is very vocal, is very flexible. They're flexible with their mood. They're flexible with their physical stimuli, meaning like the way that they move their body. They're very energetic. So some low reactive children, the low reactive children are like kind of easy peasy. The only time they get very, very upset is when you rush them. So when you rush a low reactive child, that's when they're like, no, or they kind of like, they get frazzled and they don't know what to do. So most of the time, a high reactive child is the one that somebody calls shy, and the low reactive child is kind of like the easy peasy flexible kid. But again, you have to wonder, are they reactive physically? Are they reactive with the mood?
Yeah.
But I like this idea about purpose.
Yeah.
And something about purpose, and I think that Billy had asked that question, what happens in adolescence and how does the face change? But in development, from 0 to 5, children are just learning how to do things, right? So when we think about purpose, you're just showing them how to walk, how to talk, how to feel. From 5 to about 11, you're giving them the how and the why, right? And with the why, a lot of parents are like, well, because I said so. Try not to do that as often. I know that there's bad days and you just need them to follow your direction, right? But most of the time, always give them a why. And why is because in that way, that's when they begin to make problem solve. And that's when they begin to understand, okay, I don't let me think of a better, I don't cheat on my test because my family believes in honesty and truth, rather than I don't cheat on my test because if I get caught, I'm going to get in trouble, right? Because getting in trouble means that, you're welcome, Daniela, it means that they're just going to try to lie about it. But if it's about honesty and about feeling good from the inside, purpose,
exactly, it's through values, and
it sticks.
Yeah,
it sticks.
A lot of, in this work, we can tell you what their purpose is. In this work, we have that information. We can tell you most likely what they should be, areas that they should be in that would help them to develop their purpose based on this science, right? So to answer Jesse's question, are these age lines? No, they're not. They're purpose lines, because even children have them.
Look how strong mine are.
Right? So sometimes we get what we think are age lines here, down on the cheeks. In this science, we call them lack lines. What that means is that we're not taking enough care of ourselves. We need to take better care of ourselves, give ourselves more time to relax. We also may have the belief system. Oh my gosh, there we are.
Let's redo that picture.
Okay, we would have to switch. We would have to.
Did you guys see the picture in the comments? That's
eighth grade.
In eighth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Before I had my purpose.
Bangs and braces. Okay, so lack lines can signal to us that we have a belief that we don't have enough, that we never have enough, right? So there's a lot that face reading tells us about our beliefs, okay? And sometimes we don't know those beliefs until we wake up literally and begin to understand. And here's the thing. I know this is a little woo-woo, but once we start understanding our face and we understand that we have lack lines and we start taking care of ourselves, those lines begin to disappear. So for those of you who are are wondering about aging, yes, we age less the more we know about ourselves and the more we do something with that information. Okay, this is what understanding ourselves is all about. So hopefully that's helpful. Going back to Billy's question, our faces do change over time. I mean, just look at that picture of then and now, right? So you can still tell it's me, but there are changes to my face. So my son was so different as a baby than he is today. You can still see his fire energy, right? Like I see it. I know what to look for. But he is more of his wood energy is so active. And that's what has helped him be disciplined in high school and get a 4.0 and now be a freshman in college and still get A's his first semester. And he's very focused and determined and check off that list. And he's very futuristic. He's thinking about the future, you know? And so I have seen tremendous changes to his personality since he was a baby, as well as my daughter. So, you know, I have the benefit that I've learned this, you know, I've known this for 12 years. So I can see 12 years of changes in my son and Nia as well, who's going to be 13 tomorrow. So, so we do see those changes, and we can face read, you know, today, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and begin to see a picture of our lives and our emotions. So let me go to the mouth. The mouth is really important, especially for those of us who are moms here, because whether we like it or not, the mouth of our children is going to tell us about the relationship that they have with us. The mouth is about mom, right? So my mouth is about my mom, and your mouth is about your mom, and the health of our mouth over the years also shows how we've been able to overcome certain situations with our mothers if we are aware of the relationship, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so this shows us the relationship between mom and also our family, and how we nurture, how we receive love, and how we give love. The mouth is the key part of the face that tells us this, right? So do we overgive? Do we undergive? The bigger our mouth, the bigger our lips, the more of this kind of mother energy that we have, and that we give to others, okay? And so when we see someone with very thin lips, we just want to be curious about their relationship with their mother. Sometimes what it means is that they perhaps didn't receive enough of that nurturing and love from their mother that they wanted. But again, you know, from our perspective, it's sort of like a sacred contract. It's what you're born into, you know, and one of the lessons that you have to learn in life. And that's part of this science and understanding. Do we carry a lot of tension? You know, so when you see people who carry a lot of tension in their lips, they have perhaps some issues with receiving love and giving love. Okay. Feeling unsupported, right? So if we don't have that, we probably give too much support sometimes, right? So this is the yin and the yang of it. People with a lot of earth, mama earth energy sometimes have, you know, a big, juicy, yummy lips. And that's a sign that they're givers and that they also like to receive as well. So there's reciprocation. But people with a lot of earth element have to be careful with overgiving, because they can lose themselves in the process.
So back to, and we have a really good question from Christina, but let me say something about, so this idea of like our mouths, you know, hold our mothers, right? Your parenting is highly, highly influenced by how you were parented. Mm-hmm. And I know for some of you, it's front of mind, because for some of you, you have made a choice to parent differently. You know, earlier in the comments, somebody had said that she remembered what it was like when somebody told her that, Melissa was saying that, you know, that she remembers what it was like when somebody told her, because I told you so, and she's made a conscious effort as an adult not to do that. But I want you to know that what we know from in attachment theory is that when you make sense of your past and how it influences the present, just by doing that, you don't have to do anything else, your children will thrive. because and I like what you're saying, that again, in Eastern sciences, they're looking at their mouth and they're thinking about, well, what's the relationship of this person to their parent? And that's about attachment. Our very, very, very first relationship, the relationship that sets the rules of who we're going to be in intimate relationships and in work relationships, is with our parents and our primary caregivers. Because sometimes our parents were not our primary caregivers.
That's right. Our grandmothers, or
correct. So whomever was your primary caregiver. So it's really, really, really important for everyone that's here, and all 28 of you that are watching us live, to really take a look at how that voice in your head, the positive one and the negative one, our moms program them, our fathers program them, and a teacher also programmed it, because there's a statistic that Brené Brown talks about a lot, and I love Brené Brown. I love her, love her, love her. That's another buddy that I'm a groupie of.
Yep.
She found in her research, she researched shame, that 80% of adults can say the name of the one teacher that shamed them and that kept them from doing something that they don't want to do anymore. So I love, again, one more time, you're talking about, how in Chinese face reading, we're looking at the mouth and we're looking at the relationship of the parent and the child. And this is very, very important for those of you guys that think that they're not listening to you. Your children are listening to you, and your voice is going to stay in their mind forever.
Yeah.
So be mindful of what you say to your children.
I think there was a question above. I couldn't read it.
I love Christina's question. Okay. So she wrote, what does it mean when people look so different as an adult, and then other people who have their adult face as a child?
Yeah. So, this is about how we develop. And so I look at it right now through just my understanding of Chinese face reading and doing this for so long. And part of it is that we begin, the more aware we are and conscious of who we are, and we begin to make changes internally, those changes, we see them in the faces, right? So to a certain degree, I would be curious. And I would have to have a conversation, obviously, with these individuals to see if what I'm thinking is correct, that a highly aware person, you're gonna see some changes in their face from childhood to adulthood, because they're making positive changes. They have beliefs perhaps that they had as a child, maybe that they learned from mom or dad, but now as an adult, they know that belief doesn't serve them any longer, and they're beginning to change that belief. Okay, just like I now understand that making changes to my face is actually going to make changes to who I am inside, and I need to think really clearly about, do I want to change who I am, right? So something interesting about the chin, and I have an example of this, and that's why I'm bringing it up. The chin is a sign of our willfulness, right? How willful we are. Are we willing to stop at nothing to get things done and to do what we believe in, right? And so people with pronounced chins or very large chins have a lot of that willfulness, and it's going to take a lot for them not to do what they need to do or what they want to do. Okay. Sarah Palin's daughter. Okay. We see a lot of face reading examples in media, obviously, because we can see how people's faces change. People who have surgeries. Sarah Palin's daughter, and I can't remember her name, sorry, but she, when she became prevalent in the news, and she was all over the news, she wasn't born with much of a chin. Okay, she had a receding chin, which means if you have a receding chin, that you're most likely not going to speak up for yourself. You have a hard time speaking up for yourself. You feel it all inside, but it just doesn't come out. So the capacity to defend yourself and is a little bit more difficult, and to speak up for yourself. Well, Sarah Palin's daughter had a chin implant. Did she start speaking up for herself? She sure did. All of a sudden, she's doing interviews, and she's talking about how she's taking care of herself, and she's defending herself now. And, so as a face reader, these examples to me, I love them, and I start laughing because we can see how people's temperaments change when we change our face, right? So Yes, sometimes our face can change dramatically. Sometimes it's through surgery. Sometimes it's naturally through our awareness and through us making changes, necessary changes to our lives.
Okay, so we have done a full hour and 4 minutes talking about, seeing your child more clearly. I love having people on that have a different perspective and a different point of view. So everybody, I want you to take out your cell phone. If you're watching us on your cell phone, just go to your text area right now and text the word reframe to 66866. And when you do that, you will give us your email, and then we will send you information. I am going to send you a handout and information on managing challenging behavior, because I know that all of you out there that stayed this long for an hour want more information about handling challenging behavior. But I want to kind of wrap this up in a nice little bow, because what Monique and I have been saying throughout this hour is that yes, I'm going to give you this handout and you're going to get it if you text reframe to 66866, and you're going to get tips on how to manage challenging behavior. But if you enjoyed Monique's, Eastern science about face reading and kind of seeing your child through that, do it. Because what I want, and what most child development experts want, is for you to see your child, to see the person that's in front of you, rather than what you're imagining in here, and rather what, the mouth area of your face is influencing you to see, which is your past showing you that your child is bad because, they're crying or they're not supposed to cry. So it's important that the takeaway from our little Facebook Live tonight is that just slow down enough to see the human being that is in front of you. And I love having the face reading as a way to do it. The temperament, if you look in the comments, there's a lot of information about it. And in the emails, you will, if you sign up, there's going to be a bunch of emails that are going to be coming to you. And I don't like spam, so it'll be really good information. And then Monique, I know Monique has a special offer for everybody. Yay! What's the offer?
Yes. So for today, and as long as this link is available, you have the opportunity to have a face reading, you and one of your children, at half off. Okay, so typically that would be a $600 value, and today you would get it for $300. And then there's also the opportunity on that registration form to add a second child, because I know some of you have two and you're like, I can't do just one. So I would love to share this knowledge with you. The way it would work is I would get information from you. I would get photos from you. I would get birth dates from you. I would do a full analysis of you and your child, and also both of you together. What does that look like? And give you some tips on how to support yourself and support the relationship. And I would be providing this to you via video. Okay, so you would have a video that you could keep forever with the information. And then again, for those of you who did text reframe to 6686, in a few days, you're going to be receiving from me a checklist, the 5 easiest ways to see your child clearly through Chinese face reading. Okay, so thank you.
All right, guys. Good night. Go sneak into their bedroom and give them a little kiss if they're tiny. And tomorrow, remember, wonder, who are they and what do they need from me? And they don't have to be exactly like you. And if they are exactly like you, well, sometimes that makes you have some stuff like that as well. So if you have any parenting questions, remember that that's what Stop Parenting Alone is all about. We do parenting consults. We do, we have a wonderful online parenting support service that I offer. So go to our website, stopparentingalone.com, learn more about us. But most of you that are here watching me, I love you and you love me, and thank you so much for being on tonight. And Christina, Miss Christina Porter, I am going to be doing a lot of Facebook Live, so just look out on the page, and we'll keep this up, and I will continue to invite people in my life that are super interesting, that have great information, But I had to invite. She really is my best friend. Like, you don't believe me, but she is. So, yay! All right, guys. Good night.
Love you.
Until next time.
Bye, friends and family.